shake your shake. Right. Okay. So we are not we continue on our women series. Women series part 6. Farid speaks about adult breastfeeding in Islam.
Background and the controversy of adult breastfeeding. It's a topic.
So he's talking about the background and the controversy about adult breastfeeding. Now, if you don't know about this, in Islam, the Prophet gave a rule where a woman, because a woman can allow another man, another grown-up man, to come and suckle her breast, so that the man will become like his relative and that the man can visit her. This disgusting practice was introduced into Islam by the Prophet Muhammad. But let's listen to Farid and what he says about that adult breastfeeding in Islam.
That is quite controversial, which is why I felt that a video should be dedicated to this topic. So firstly, I'm going to provide you with a background for this before getting into why it is controversial and why it shouldn't be as controversial. For the record, I'm not someone who supports adult breastfeeding, nor do I believe that.
So Farid, on the way it goes, says that for the records, he wants us to know that he does not support what? Adult breastfeeding. So he does not support something that the Sunnah is clear in the Hadith. In Sunan Ibn Majah and Sahih Muslim and a few other Sahih Hadith, that it was the Sunnah of the Prophet. The Prophet said and gave that directive about what? Adult breastfeeding, as a result of the issue of Salim and Abu Hudayfa. So Farid throws his prophet under the bus. He is ashamed of his prophet, so he cannot accept that which his prophet taught.
It has any effect on fosterage and the relationship between the person who's breastfeeding and who is the breastfeeder.
Look, Fifi says that he does not think that adult breastfeeding has any effect on fosterage of between the person who breastfed or the one who is being breastfed. So it means that he disagrees with his prophet, who says that in order to make somebody your relative, the woman should put her breast into the mouth for the grown man to suckle it 5 different times on different occasions. You see, the prophet is saying, you Muslim woman, if shake your shake is not your friend, is not your brother, is not related to you, and shake your shake wants to visit you, for me to be able to come and talk to you, Muslim woman, you must give me your breast so I can suckle it 5 different times. Not one occasion. I come today, you give it to me. Me. 4. And the prophet also said that it's not just a little sack. You have to be satisfied with the milk. So it means that for the Muslim woman to accept anybody that's not related or family, you must give your breast into the mouth of that strange grown-up man to do with your breast 5 different times. Does this make sense? It doesn't make sense. So Farid continues to what? throw his prophet under the bus. In this 550 something mark, he makes a certain point that the prophet was very conservative, so he would not allow for adult breastfeeding. And listen to the word he uses for adult breastfeeding.
The Prophet, peace be upon him, forbade fornication and adultery. He was someone who's very conservative. And
so the Prophet was very conservative. Okay, so
it absolutely makes no sense to suggest that he pushed for this.
So it doesn't make any sense for people to suggest that he will do what?
Spreading of sexual.
No, listen to it again.
Pushed for the spreading of sexual perversion in his society.
Fifi Farid believes that adult breastfeeding is a what? Doing adult breastfeeding is the same as what? Spreading sexual what? Promiscuity in the society. Listen to him.
It makes no sense to suggest that he pushed for the spreading of sexual perversion in his society.
Oh, he said that it makes no sense that a prophet will push for what? The promotion of what? Sexual perversion in the society. So according to Farid, adult breastfeeding is perversion, is sexual perversion in society. Meaning that Farid believes that his prophet was a promoter of sexual perversion in society. Because the Hadith all show that it is the prophet who instituted what? Adult breastfeeding. And I'm gonna show that to you. Now I'm gonna show that to you. But I want to respond to the next thing he said, and then the hadith I'm gonna use would explain that adult breastfeeding was what? Instituted by Muhammad himself. So if Farid believes that it's sexual perversion, then he is saying that his prophet promoted what? Sexual perversion. By extension, the wife, the most lovely wife of the prophet, Aisha, also what? Was involved in what? Sexual perversion. Because Aisha practiced it, made the sisters do it on her behalf. As a way to lie, in the 8:15 mark, Farid says that adult breastfeeding is only for infants. But I will go to the hadith and you get it.
That this is something specific for infants. This is something specific.
So he gives an example. He was talking about Aisha and the cousins of Aisha. Salim was brought to. There's a different Salim, not the Salim of Abu Hudayfa. It's different Salim. So he makes a point that from what Aisha did in that narration, it means that adult breastfeeding, the breastfeeding was only for what? Infants. But that is wrong according to the hadith. Let's listen to him.
The opinion of the Quran and the majority of the companions, which is that this is something specific for infants.
So Farid saying that the opinion of the Quran and the majority of the scholars or whatever is that it is for what? The breastfeeding is for infants. It's a lie. Look, read. Look at this. Chapter on what? Breastfeeding an adult. This is the chapter on breastfeeding an adult. Chapter on breastfeeding an adult. In Sahih Muslim. There is already a chapter on breastfeeding an adult in the Sahih collections of Muslim. How can you deny it? Unless you're being a liar just to protect lied to defend your religion. Look, Sahih Muslim 14538, book 17, hadith number 33, and then we also go to 34. Now read. Aisha, Allah be pleased with her, reported that Salah bin Suhail came to Allah's apostle and said, Messenger of Allah, I see on the face of Abu Hudayfa signs of disgust on entering of Salim. Now, Salim was a little boy that was a boy that was bought as a slave when he was little, and they adopted him into their family. But now Salim has become a young man, a man at the age of puberty. He is starting to grow stuff. So the husband Abu Hudayfa is not happy. So Salah comes to Muhammad and complains for a solution. And listen, whereupon Ali's apostle said, suckle him. Listen, now Farid, the liar, is saying that it is for infants. He's saying it's for infants. But listen to what the prophet said. Suckle him. Then Salah said, how can I suckle him as he is a grown-up man? So he was not a baby, an infant. So this is the original Salim. The other Salim that we are using is a different Salim. The Salim that Farid talked about is a different Salim. But we are talking about the concept of adult breastfeeding. He was saying that according to that narration, it means it's for what? Babies. And that's what is the Quran is not true. The Quran does not talk about adult breastfeeding. It's the Hadith. And that even shows that there was a problem in the Quran, because it used to be in the Quran, and we're going to go into that. Look. How can I suckle him as he's a grown-up man? Allah's messenger smiled and said, it means Muhammad understood. Yeah, I know. He is a young man. I know that. He said, I already know that he is a young man. Amr has made the addition in this narration that he participated in the Battle of Badr. Now, so Salim, he was not an infant. Amr is saying that Salim was old enough. He was a young man enough that he fought in the battle of what? Battle. So many other narrations talk about the fact that Salim was what? Old. He fought in the wars. And he even memorized some of the Quran. So, Muhammad did not institute what? Breastfeeding for infants only. Adults. Now, let's go to the next one. Oh yeah, I talked about it. Allah reported Salim, the freed slave of Abu Hudayfa, lived with him and his family in their house. A little boy who was a slave, they freed him and he became their adopted son. She, that is the daughter of Sulaym, came to Allah's apostle and said, Salim attained poverty as men attain, and he understands what they understand. He enters our house freely. I, however, perceive that something rankles in the heart of Abu Hudayfa. Whereupon Allah's messenger said to her, suckle him, and you will become unlawful to him. Look. The whole idea Muhammad is putting forth is that if you suckle him, then he will become what? Unlawful. You cannot marry him. Because in Islam, somebody that can marry you, a woman, you cannot be in a what? Secluded place. If somebody that can marry you, that man can marry you, you are married, the man cannot be with you alone. So if the man wants to visit you, then Muhammad brings this: suckle him. If I want to visit you, Muslim woman, I'm not related to you, then for me to be able to have access to you, and then to make me unlawful to marry you, you have to suckle me 5 different times. This is what your prophet taught. Are you going to do that, Muslim woman? Are you going to give your breast to strange men to suckle on 5 different occasions so that they will become unlawful to you, to marry you? Farid says that he does not think that adult breastfeeding changes anything about what? Footage. It means he throws his prophet under the bus again.
For the record, I'm not someone who supports adult breastfeeding, nor do I believe that it has any effect on fosterage and the relationship between the person who's breastfeeding and who is the breastfeeder.
So Farid throws his prophet under the bus and says that he does not believe that it makes any difference. But the hadith we read, look, he said, sucking him and you will become what? Unlawful for him. Did it work or it didn't work? According to Farid, it doesn't make any difference. But did it work here? Look. And which Abu Hudayfa feels in his heart will disappear. The prophet said, when the woman suckles the man, the feelings that will be there, that somebody, maybe your husband, is not sure why the man has to visit you alone. When you give your breast to that man to suckle, now that feeling will not be there again. Your husband, your brother, your father, whoever is there will now feel comfortable to allow that man to come in because you have given your breast to that man to me. Oh, it's me. Oh, Farid, it's me. Farid, it's me. Farid, it's me. Yeah, Farid, it's me. Yeah, Farid, it's me. You Farid, it's me. Yeah, it's me. Bring your breast, yeah, to me. Hey, bring your breast to me. Bring your breast to me. Bring your breast to me. Hey, bring your breast to me. Bring your breast to me. So bring your breast, yeah, to me. We're gonna suck it, me. So Farid says it doesn't do anything, but the hadith says, and what he feels will disappear. And look, it worked. So I suckled him. I suckled that grown man that is at puberty. And that which was in the heart of Abu Hudayfa disappeared. Did it work or it didn't work? It worked. But Farid says it doesn't make any difference. He has to throw his prophet under the bus. He has to throw his prophet under the bus. Because he knows that it does not make sense that you will give your breast to a man, a grown-up man. I think this video is getting long. But look, Sunan Abi Dawud, he was saying that the Quran talks about only child breastfeeding. Sunan Abi Dawud 2061, book 12, hadith number 16. Who was made what? Prohibited through what? Adult fosterage. So if the person was related to you, then the person can what? Marry you. It's unlawful. Let's read this part. So this is the same look, the same Salah, daughter of Sulaybin that we talked about, right? We have talked about the same hadith. In the other hadith, the same narration is there. Look, listen. We continue with the story. The prophet said, give him your breastfeed. She gave him what? 5 breastfeeds. 5 breastfeeds. Then he became like her foster son. So Farid is saying that adult breastfeeding does not affect fosterage, but the Hadith is saying that it shouldn't even it says that what? He then became like her foster son. Listen, hence Aisha used to ask the daughters of her sisters and the daughters of her brethren to give him breastfeed 5 times, whom Aisha wanted to see or who wanted to visit her. If you wanted to come and visit Aisha, then Aisha will give you what? The children of the cousins to go and what? Breastfeed them. For them to breastfeed you, the man, so that the man can visit her, Aisha, with no problems or raising eyebrows. People believe that Aisha was using this to do boom boom when Muhammad died. So if Aisha wanted to do boom boom with a man, Aisha will take that man and go and give that man to the what? The daughters of her sisters to breastfeed that man, and that man can now visit her. So convenient way of getting boom boom, because the Prophet had prevented them from what? Open boom boom. You see that? So Aisha did it. The other wives of the Prophet said they didn't know whether it was only exclusive to what? Salim. And also, it was in the Quran. It was in the Quran. This is the last hadith I'm going to give. It was in the Quran. It was in the Quran. Sahih Muslim, book 17, hadith number 30. It was in the Quran. Aisha reported that it had been revealed in the Holy Quran. It had been revealed in the Holy Quran. So the suckling, the 10 sucklings, adult breastfeeding were in the Quran. Farid, do you reject the hadith? 10 sucklings make the marriage unlawful. So if you wanted a man to visit you that they can't marry you, then 10 sucklings. Then it was abrogated and what? Replaced by 5 sucklings. And Allah's apostle died, and it was before that time found in the Quran and recited by the Muslims. So adult breastfeeding is in the Quran. Women's series, adult breastfeeding. Because Farid made a comment, I added it together. Women's series, part 6, adult breastfeeding. Muhammad says, give your boobs, women, Muslim women, to any strange man so they become unlawful. So if you want a man to boom boom you forever and he can't marry you, give your breast to him, let him suck, so that the two of you can always do your thing. Boom boom. That's it. Secret boom booming. They are proud of it.
You're proud of that. It just backfired on you.